Well, welcome to another episode of the Coffee Break Podcast, where our mission is to share business ideas, practices, and strategies while we enjoy our cup of coffee. And today I've got my Apple mug here because we're getting ready to have a fun conversation with Aaron Beaver. He's part of our team. He's a content creator here. And we're going to be talking about life before joining the organization as a solopreneur versus now as we're connected and we're running together. We're really going to talk about the difference between running by yourself and running together. What are those advantages? What are the benefits? And how does that motivation help you go farther or faster? So we're going to be talking about all of that. Grab a notebook, get ready for some notes, and enjoy this conversation with Aaron Beaver coming up next.
We got so much to say. We got a podcast to make. We're sipping on lattes, and it's time for a coffee break. It's time for a coffee break. Oh, yeah.
Well, let's jump into the conversation. But before we do that, it's rapid fire.
Ooh.
You ready?
5 randomly selected questions.
Last week,
Yeah,
I let Sam off the hook.
you did.
No go for you.
Oh, man.
Here we go.
Oh, God.
Those of you who are joining us, this is Aaron Beaver.
Hello.
We'll get more into the
Yeah.
introduction later. So here we go. 5 random questions
Uh-huh.
just to get under your skin with unknown point values.
Ooh.
Rapid fire.
There we go.
It's been a while since I've done that.
It has.
Let's get into it. What is your favorite hobby?
Favorite hobby is hobbies.
Just any hobby.
Well, yeah, because my favorite hobby will no longer be my favorite hobby as soon as it becomes my favorite hobby.
So your favorite hobby is finding new hobbies.
Yes. Yes.
Interesting. What's your favorite thing to do by yourself?
Favorite thing to do by myself, run.
Run. Interesting.
I mean, I enjoy running with other people.
Ironic on the conversation for today. Let's see. Run.
Well, like, no, most people, like, you have to at a certain point with the type of running that I do.
Mhm. Go by yourself.
I mean, you either got to enjoy it or you hate it.
Number 3, what is your favorite sport or physical activity?
Favorite sport or physical activity? Favorite sport is cycling. Physical activity, cycling.
All right. Question number 4, rapid fire. What crazy activities do you dream of trying someday?
I want to jump out of a plane,
Okay.
but I don't want to jump out of a plane with someone else on my back. Like, I want to do it by myself.
So you want to skydive
Uh-huh.
by yourself first without...
No. I mean, I think you have to have 5 jumps
Yeah.
before you can do it without somebody on your back.
Oh, you want to get up to that point?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay. Got it. And last, number 5, what is your idea of fun?
Idea of fun.
Actually, scratch that. I want to ask a different question.
Ah.
Number 5, what are 2 things that you consider yourself to be very good at?
I'm very good at problem solving,
Okay.
and I'm very good at life.
Very good at life.
Yeah,
The game of life or just life in general?
just life in general.
Very good. Problem solving in life. All right, we're going to give you a score of 714.
See, I really threw you off on the running. I knew I got point deductions when I said running because, oh my gosh.
So if you're just joining us today, it's been a little over a year since we've had a sit-down conversation on the podcast. And so you could go back and actually, we should probably link it. So whoever is editing this or posting this, you should probably put a link in the description below.
Yeah.
To the episode that we did a little over a year ago, about telling your story.
Yep.
Right? The importance of telling your story. We're not going to be talking about that today.
No.
We're going to be talking about something completely different. I was pondering over the last couple of weeks about a couple of different episodes that we've recorded together. Last one was the importance of telling your story. I think the episode before that was possibly a collaboration with Ben Soltze.
It was the Christmas.
The Christmas episode.
Mhm.
What would the word be?
It was a blended episode.
It was a definitely blended episode. And then before that, we had talked about solopreneurism.
Yep.
Because at that point, you were working on your own.
Mhm.
So I wanted to kind of bring the topic today because I think this is something of rather of interest. being a solopreneur
Yep.
and then joining with a team and building something as a team versus from the other side of the perspective of being a solopreneur, where
Yeah.
one man, one band
Yep.
deal, now working with other folks. So that's
Yeah.
going to be the topic of conversation today. What's it like on the other side of solopreneur,
Yeah.
of being a solopreneur? And kind of the topic that I wanted to wrap it up in, to give some analogy, would be the difference between running by yourself and running with other people.
Yeah, running together. Yeah. So to set a little foundation, I work for the lab at Loc-Doc. So
Mhm.
Loc-Doc is the parent company, and it's been something that me and you have been like a business consultant for me for years when I was in my solopreneurship.
Mhm.
And so I was running alone in my company,
Mhm.
and really setting the bar. So I was the bar. As hard as I wanted to push, I was that standard. And so when I wanted to sit back and relax, I could sit back and relax because I was the bar. I was the standard. And as me and you conversated, and we've been friends for years,
Mhm.
and you've been very insightful in business and helped coach me and kind of lead me along. We realized through our conversation, like, hey, there's some things that I am not good at in business. And so I am definitely a worker bee. I know that side. I can produce stuff very quickly. But in the management side and growing a business and understanding that was a weak area. And so, you had this idea and proposed it to me, and I, stopped what I was doing
Mhm.
and brought what I was doing to Loc-Doc, with a hope of building something, external outside of Loc-Doc. But the idea was that I would be creating content and helping Loc-Doc grow the brand and helping in the area, the podcast and other areas, creating content. So that transition from, running solo
Mhm.
to, coming and being a part of a team, was a very drastic transition.
Yeah. So kind of again to paint that picture, when we've had these conversations in the past, you were working alone.
Yeah.
Working with clients,
Yep.
but working on your own, in your own office.
Yep.
And then when you came to join our organization, it was now immediately you were kind of on your own schedule doing your own thing, and now you've immediately jumped into a space with 30 other folks
Right.
at that time of, okay, what's going on? How do I adapt? And but that's not new to you. You've worked in
Correct.
other organizations before.
I have. And a lot of people told me that when I am a solopreneur, I'll never work for anyone else
Mhm.
because of the freedom that you get.
Yep.
And, I will say for creative, freedom is probably the one thing that will hurt a creative the most.
Yep.
Creatives, people that create content or visual, idea people, that freedom that they have can be almost stifling, and you just kind of get called into what to do because, I remember I would go ride my bike,
Mhm.
and because I could,
Yeah.
like I would go spend hours. I mean, I rode the Blue Ridge Parkway from one side to the other,
Mhm.
and took off multiple weeks
Mhm.
because I could.
Mhm.
I would work hard when I had to, but then when I didn't have to work, I wasn't out shopping jobs. I wasn't out being progressive. I wasn't out doing prior preparation for the projects, and those were areas that we found out, like, hey, these are my weak parts. I can create amazing content. I can deliver exactly what the customer needs, but there were just some things that I did not have, and it was going to be a big stretch. And so to come here and to, basically turnkey a team
Mhm.
was transformative for me. But there were a lot of I don't want to, the people listening to think that like it was, rainbows and, puppy dogs. My first month
Mhm.
here, I was commuting more to work
Yeah.
than I worked the entire month, the 3 months ahead. Okay,
Yeah.
so let me say that again if you got confused. The 3 months, the average hour that I worked those months,
Mhm.
I was driving to the company I work for now
Mhm.
more than I was actually working.
Yep.
So that commitment was, was a huge shock. I was still teaching a spin class in the morning as well.
Yeah.
So it was ridiculous of the commitment. But, I realized like through that,
Mhm.
like, and you helping coach me and understanding my, weaknesses that I had, like if Aaron is going to make it to the next level or go to the next part,
Mhm.
I'm going to have to do some things and I'm not going to be able to do it on my own.
Can you copy this key? That's a question we get asked about 3,422 times a year. And how can you actually be sure that the person who asked that question is supposed to get a copy of that key? Well, we think you should always know who can copy your keys to your business and your home, because it could be your neighbor, an old employee, a contractor, or even worse, your mother-in-law. At Loc-Doc Security, we believe in protected key systems, so you always know who has a copy of your key. To find out more, visit locdoc.net or stop by our Charlotte location. Loc-Doc Security, helping you protect your people and your property. I remember around that same time, I was having a conversation with somebody else that was essentially getting ready to leave an organization to go out on their own, and we were kind of talking about the same type of things, and they were in kind of a creative space as well. And I remember having those two conversations simultaneously, where at the end of it, it came down to this: to do what you love to do,
Mm-hmm.
you have to make a decision.
Mm-hmm.
I'm either going to learn the business side of things, the business administrative side, the sales side, the how to grow side, or I'm going to be a really good practitioner.
Right, correct.
Whatever
Mhm.
that is. If it's creating videos,
Mhm.
if it is building buildings,
Right.
whatever it is,
Right.
you're either going to be the practitioner or you're going to be the business person. And based off of that decision, you're going to have to fill the other void. So I want to be that practitioner. Well, then I probably need to bring somebody on board that can run the business.
Right.
If I want to be the business, then I'm going to have to bring some practitioners on board. And that's just a decision that you have to make. And through that whole kind of timeline, I remember you and I having those conversations where it's like, hey, what if you come in and we set up the structure where you can thrive in the areas that you thrive in,
Yeah.
and we offload the things that you're not thriving in,
Right.
so that it can grow, and then we can start to backfill that over time.
Yeah.
It's not that you don't ever want to learn that or you don't ever want to apply it, but in the interim, to get over some type of a hurdle,
Yep.
you need to kind of build off of other folks.
Yeah.
So that kind of brings us back to this analogy that I wanted to tie in on the running by yourself versus running together.
Yeah.
So you were talking about your favorite activity is to run by yourself.
Yeah.
One of the stories that I've shared with a lot of folks, and in a lot of different forums, is as I've been trying to get back into running.
Yep.
I have the propensity to go out and start running and take breaks, take walk breaks, take
Yep.
jog breaks,
Yeah.
slow my pace down a little bit
Yep.
when I'm by myself, because I don't have anybody else to kind of, I don't want to, maybe it's compete with, maybe it's to encourage, maybe it's to hold accountable, whatever. And I also have the propensity to think through the process of, well, I could go out and run this afternoon, or I don't really feel like it, so
Yeah.
I'm just not going to do it.
Yeah.
But on the times that you're running with a group or you're running with other folks, there is one, accountability, that you're actually going to lace
Right.
up your shoes and get out there.
Right.
And two, as you're actually running, and I have tons of data to prove it,
Right.
my pace, what my physical capacity is can increase
Mhm.
based off of who I'm running with.
100%.
Right? So I adapt to that.
Mhm.
And the other interesting thing too, and this is something that I've discovered as well, is so if I run with somebody that is faster than me, so
Yep.
case in point, yourself, then it pushes my pace faster.
Mhm.
If I run with somebody that's slower than me, it also pushes my pace faster, because I'm still being energized by somebody else being there.
Right.
And I've been interested in how that applies into the business world, or how that applies into an organization or any type of community,
Yeah.
because it's just the idea of people coming together for a common cause, and then it's just this momentum that builds off of each
Dude,
other.
It's exponential. Like, I will tell you this, that what we have done in this year, which if you're watching this video and it's next year, this is 2020.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're in October of 2020.
Right. So everybody knows that 2020 has been a kick in the pants. Okay. But what we have been able to do and achieve has been extraordinary.
Yeah.
Like it's not something that I take for granted, because I know there are businesses that are hurting and suffering, but we have been able to do just some extraordinary things and be able to provide a solution for customers that were essentially just had no idea. I mean, we just got off a phone call with another customer that was blown away by the service that we can provide. And I say all that to say that running together with Loc-Doc and the company. Okay. So the lab, we create apps. Lucas does apps, and I create content, video content, graphics. So the lab side of the company has been able to run alongside Loc-Doc, the lock and security, doors, access, keys, that side of the company, and has pushed the lab, something that is not correlated together. I mean, we could literally be two separate companies and be fine and function, but we're not. We're running together. And the momentum that y'all have had and the structure and the organization that you've had has helped us so much, the lab portion, that we rolled into 2020 just taking basically the principles and the business practices that Mike and the project management team have, and Moody and the sales team and the guys like Zach, that the implements that they have done, and we have taken those to the lab side. And just because we're able to run together, we're not in the same field, but just because we're having Wednesday morning meetings together, we're having Monday morning meetings together, we're doing our stand up, we're in the same building, we're collaborating and talking, has changed the lab side, the content creation side, on an area that I don't think people understand, because you would never think a lock and security company matches with a content generation company. It doesn't. But running together and having the ability to collaborate together has been extraordinary.
So I want to jump into that topic of cross-pollination and how important it is. But one of the interesting things that you were just touching on is what has happened even over the last several months from the ability to pivot to a point. And I know that's a buzzword that's gotten totally overused. But virtual streaming, virtual conferences, that's become a big thing.
Big thing.
And it's interesting because if you take you as a solopreneur and Loc-Doc Security as a separate business, outside of that, both components had part of the story, part of the I don't know what the elements. Part of the elements to bring that together. But together it erupted into something that was an actual viable product.
Correct.
As a solopreneur, it'd have been hard for you to be able to bring those virtual events to life.
Yeah, it would have been impossible.
As a Loc-Doc and security company, it would have been hard to bring those virtual events to life. And bringing those together, it obviously, so the running together side of things.
Yeah.
It's been interesting.
It has been. And I'll say this. One of the things that we did is we have employees that are out of the state. And so one of the things that we did, which is, it's crazy to think about, but I remember a conversation with me, you, and Chris where we were discussing the virtual side of our meetings. Every Wednesday morning, we would have somebody hop in remotely, and it was a microphone in the room, and it sounded terrible, and there was no engagement virtually because it was just horrible. Like there was no reason for them to talk because you couldn't hear them, and so we started addressing that issue, and we started running at that. And I remember y'all talking about, hey, we're going to have a studio set up and we're going to live stream this. And I'm like, guys, let's don't make this a big production. Let's do some basic stuff. And oh my God, I wish you could see the control room now. But essentially, we addressed this issue before we had to, which then set us up for the pandemic and everybody going virtual, to where we were way ahead of the curve. Way ahead of the curve. We were able to show the notes virtually. We're able to connect people virtually. We're able to do everything and emulate our live Wednesday morning meeting. So we take that and we're like, hey, we do this very well. And then a customer says, hey, we now can't do our live conference. And we're like, oh, we do this every morning. We do this every Wednesday.
We produce live conferences on a weekly basis.
Yeah, a weekly basis. And so you start to think through that, and we were addressing a need and a problem that we had. And because we addressed that need and problem, we actually provided a solution for our customers because it was a value add to us. It was something that made our company, that was important to us. A Wednesday morning meeting is very important to keep everybody abreast of what's going on, as Thomas would say. And so that is that forethought in front of that, and to get in front of it and to address it, created a product that we were doing, and we could offer this to our customers. And it's just that portion of the forethought and the addressing it. I mean, we played it perfect, and it actually worked out.
Well, I would say this. When you read into some of the really innovative businesses that are in the market today, a lot of them came through a process of necessity. So Slack, for instance, was a product that was an evolution of an internal communication system that some app developers built to try to build a completely different app.
Right.
It wasn't even the focus. It was a side benefit. And then at the end of it, when the other app failed, they said, well, we do have this little communication thing over here that is now just massive. You look at one of the products that we sell, Eagle Eye, which is a surveillance camera system. And the whole basis of that development was based off of a guy that was running a different business, Dean Draco. And he said, I need to figure out how to connect all of my remote offices together so that I can see what's going on. And that product didn't exist.
Right.
Well, now that product exists, and it's a major market driver. So you think of it in those terms and go, well, in your business, whatever business that you're working in, what are those things that the struggles that you're having? How can you solve those internally and then also offer them externally? Because if you're struggling with it, other people are as well.
Correct. Well, we're going through the book Leaders Eat Last, and I think it's chapter 16 where they're talking about 3M and the evolution that 3M and the how many patents. I think in the year of 2012 they did 20,000 patents.
Where the sticky note?
Yeah, the sticky note. And so what happened was that adhesion was from a failed mixture that another employee had, and they posted it out, and then a guy was trying to figure out how to get his music notes to stick. And so what they found is 3M as a product company, their success is their collaboration. It's not necessarily the product that they're providing, it's the collaboration. So I will say this, we're currently, the lab, we're working on a product that one of our technicians, we're depinning cylinders. Okay. So I love this because it's another little thing that we can go after, but he provided this. I was walking through the lock shop and he was like, hey, you got any ideas for this? And I'm like, oh. So what we have done on the lab side is we've 3D printed a device that he brought up, and then I presented it to the team, and then another person brought me another revision and another idea. And this cross-pollination of ideas is now going to provide a product that's actually going to solve a solution that our technicians are having. And we're the lab. Like, we could stay in our lane and be like, you know what, guys, I'm video, I'm this, I'm that, and but our sales and customer success team and all of these areas, we don't always stay in our lane. Like, we cross-pollinate, and that has been running together, like that cross-pollination. If you like to just collaborate and be an addition to the team, there would be I would be better for it. Yeah. Right. I'm going to be a better, the best version of myself just being a part of this company. But what has made the lab great is been the people that are not associated, directly connected to it, that are helping us out or providing solutions or providing even just input. And so that parting of running together has been huge.
So my challenge kind of through this conversation and why I believe it's a valid topic for any business owner or anybody in business that's going, hey, how is this applicable? It sounds like you guys are doing some really cool stuff there. Great. I don't really know exactly what I'm supposed to do about it.
Right.
The idea of cross-pollination is something interesting. So again, let me tag back into the original topic of conversation, which is running together. So from a solopreneur perspective, who are you supposed to cross-pollinate with? You have to go outside of your circle.
Right.
You have to be intentional about it. And then in that same point, what is that? What energy is that taking away from other areas? What momentum is that taking away from other areas? So then you become part of a network or a group or a team or a community or an organization.
Yep.
And now the interesting thing that's happening inside of this organization that probably is one of the most exciting things is you have a department that is developing web apps. So they're literally doing coding.
Right.
You have another department that's creating digital content, motion graphics, video content. And then you have all of the other departments that are purchasing products. You have sales, you've got customer service, you've got accounting, you've got project management, and you've got training. And then you have our installer team and our service team. And so we're hanging cameras, we're installing electronic locks, and we're keying up old mechanical locks, and we're putting in doors and frames. And then it's like, okay, hold on a second. The cross-pollination comes into play because we're developing an application that is applicable and useful for a person installing locks. Well, we now have our own focus group. So here's an app. Try this. This doesn't work. Let's fix it. Now try it. Oh, now we need to capture a video to show how this works. Well, take that over to the digital content team. Oh, by the way, we need a way to manage all of our projects for our digital content team. Take that over to the app development team. They'll put that together. Oh, we've got all this thing. We need to bring the sales team and marketing team into play. All of those things are cross-pollinating in the same four walls, which is an exciting thing. And normally you have to take that outside of those four walls to get that consulting. How is that? How have you seen that? Because you've been in other organizations that have had multiple different departments. How have you seen cross-pollination there versus when you were a solopreneur versus kind of what you're at now?
I think most businesses silo.
Just a reminder, you're listening to the Coffee Break Podcast. Also, we wanted to let you know that our team puts together a weekly blog post. You can find it at locdoc.net/blog. It's guaranteed to raise your IQ by 12 points or your money back. So it's pretty much a win-win. All right, back to the conversation.
I think most businesses, the idea is silos because I want to turn my attention to my department and I can turn all of my attention to my department. So if I give any attention to anywhere else, my department suffers because I'm not 100% to it. Okay. So you've got a department of, let's say you have a department of 10 people and you've created the silo, and we don't get out of our silo because we need all the attention on it. I will say that coming from a company that was essentially, we were the marketing directors for the company, but there were a lot of silos. And so we were creating ads or content for people that would have been great to be cross-pollinated or figure out what best way to market it and the best people to go to. That wasn't the case. And so here, there is a lot of collaboration, and at least all it is just keeping everybody on the same page. So it's not that we're siloed. It's like, okay, we're going to tell you that everything's going on in the company, and at some point in time, there's going to be something that triggers in your head, and you may silo yourself for this week, but you're going to be like, you know what? I heard about this. Hey guys, have y'all thought about this? Or, hey, there's a customer that needs the solution. Well, now our training director, where he could just be focused on our employees and getting them trained and caught up to speed, he may come across something that would be revolutionary that we could produce to our customers. And so this cross pollination of ideas, or the ability just to share ideas, is amazing. And I don't think that I would say that if you're trying to start from somewhere, just get all the information out so everybody knows what's going on. Like, I know it sounds like it's like, Chad, well, how did y'all build this? Well, I think at the end of the day, it's what happens on our Monday morning meeting where we go through and we kind of set the tone and what's happening. You know, we address one of the core values, but then we go through and each department kind of tells you what is on the agenda, on the docket for this week. And so that way everybody from the business knows. And then we go to our Wednesday morning, which is in the middle of the week, and we go through and everybody kind of knows what's going on. And so just the sharing of information, even if it's not like 100% to you, you're listening to, you're absorbing it, and at some point in time you can give feedback.
Yeah. A long time ago, we used to do this, and we've moved away from it in the traditional sense. But we used to have a topic called tips and tricks, where a technician would come in every week, and they would share a little 5-minute spill on something that they had picked up on, and it was always beneficial because at a point, everybody in the room would be sitting there and go, "Well, man, I've run into that before too, and I didn't really know what to do."
Yeah.
And the problem that we always had with it was actually documenting it, because I remember somebody said something about this a year ago, but I can't quite remember exactly what it was. But at least there was some type of a reference point there. And so I think that there is something that can be gained from that, from just a transparent, this is what's happening, this is what's going on. Hey, this is what this department is working on. And somebody can raise their hand and say, oh, well, have you, like you said, have you thought of this? Or what about this component of it? Is this something I can help out with? Or do you need this built or whatever? And so when you have that cross-pollination, you typically have in an organization people that have various strengths at whatever level. And as long as you're breaking out of those silos and you're communicating what's going on and what you're working on, more oftentimes than not, you have people standing up and volunteering and saying, hey, well, I can do this part, I can do this part. And now you've got this whole team collaboration that can say, well, we just brought this idea together more than just one person trying to burden it all on their shoulders.
Yeah, it's shown very evident here at Loc-Doc, like of multiple people carrying burdens. I go to a video shoot this week and I forgot something, and we tell our dispatch guy, Nathan, who's handling all of the techs, he's making sure that everybody's where they should be and making sure that the day is flowing properly. And he hears about it. And what does he do? He looks up my location. He knows where I'm at. We have a technician that is going to be there, I think 3 miles away from where I'm at. And so he brings what I'm needing to the place. Now, again, to me, that's a huge deal to have that teamwork, because at the end of the day, I made the mistake, right? I didn't bring what I needed, and it's my responsibility, right? I fixed the problem, but they brought me exactly what I needed because we're a team. They covered the area that I needed, and I didn't even ask them. Like the thing is, like, he showed up, and I was like, oh, well, dude, thank you so much. And I think that part of the business, if I would have known that there was a company out there that, like, really cared that much about, I would have probably done this before. I enjoyed working by myself, but you asked earlier about, like, okay, that's a great idea, but how do you get connected, or where do I start? Okay. So I'll tell you, for me, I look at myself and I have this idea that I'm going to be the best version of myself. And the way that I'm going to be that is I'm going to look at the things that I'm not good at. I'm going to address those things that I can change. And over time, I'm going to be the best version of myself. Well, I looked at what I was doing, and there were a lot of things in the company that I was good at. Like, so it would have continued to go on, but I was not a good businessman. Like, that's just I was afraid of money. There were some things that I just wasn't good at. Holding myself accountable and setting routines and standards was not something that was the success of mine. And so I used to come to Loc-Doc, and we were talking about this morning. I would come in cutoff jeans and a t-shirt, and everybody here is like, dressed up and looking nice. And I'm like, bumming it, looking ridiculous, kind of like how my face does right now. But that's another sad topic. But I realized that I was not a good businessman. And so I, just came and asked you if I could have coffee, and we would hang out and chat, and I would just observe, like, the evolution and how you were thinking in business. And I realized, like, okay, if I could connect myself with a company like this, or just somebody. So we would go eat lunch and we would talk about business, and we would talk about, what I was doing. And, I would tell you, like, hey, I'm not doing good at this, or I'm doing good at this. And so you would give me feedback and input. And so as this grew on, when the idea came that I was to come here, like it was a no brainer. I remember getting off the phone with my wife, or getting off the phone with you, and I was in my front yard, and my wife asked me, and she said, "What was that about?" And I was like, "Oh, well, I just got offered a position to go work at Loc-Doc."
Mhm.
And she was like, "What?" She's like, "You're gonna do it, right?" And like it's a content creator going to work for a Loc-Doc Security company,
Mhm.
and it's like it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
But from a solopreneurship, knowing what I needed to be the best version, if I wanted to be better than what I was now, I was going to have to do some things that were out of my comfort zone.
Mhm.
And the commitment that I was going to have to make was definitely worth the growth that was going to come. So in this solopreneurship, knowing the weakness that I had, like, would I be able to get the gain out of this? And 6 months into this, I remember telling you, like, hey, if this thing goes under and you're like, hey, Aaron, we can't do this anymore. I'm going to be like, dude, I really appreciate this because I am a much better human being. First off, a boss. Second off, a businessman. Like all of these areas that I came into this solopreneurship with that I wanted to be better at. I was selfish partly. Like I didn't come into this just to help Loc-Doc. Like I came into it like I'm going to be able to bring these. This is going to be easy. What you're going to ask me to do. Let's just be honest. But I want to learn this, and it has paid over and over and over. And even my wife is like, I'm a much better person now because of just the team and what the kind of the standards and the core values that Loc-Doc has helped me embrace.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting too. One of the things that you said there was like 6 months in, you're like, if this thing falls apart, then I'm at least grateful for that. And I think even going back to the running together part of it, but that wasn't an option.
No,
like that failure wasn't an option.
No,
right? We're going to push together with this. We've got the support of the organization. We've got the support of all of the team. It's going to work.
Yeah.
As long as we're dedicated, focused, and continue to maintain our momentum. And so I think that's really something that if the folks that are listening, I'm just putting myself in a position, if I'm listening to this and I'm part of an organization and I'm like, man, I wish we had that. Or maybe I'm working by myself. I'm a solopreneur and I'm like, man, I wish I had that. Well, you can generate that. You can create that. If you're in your own organization, you have the ability to impact that and affect that. You just have to take the initiative. And one of the things that I've told people, many, many times over and over again is, be the individual, be that type of leader, be that type of influence that you wish you had, right? Maybe you didn't have a strong leader in your past. Maybe you didn't have a good boss. Maybe you didn't have, a good father figure or a good mother figure, whoever. Be that to other people. Just emulate what you wish that you had. Just because it wasn't exemplified to you in the past doesn't mean that you can't create that going forward. And so if you're in that type of organization, hey, how do I cross-pollinate? Get up from your desk and go talk to other people.
Right.
Hey, this is what I'm working on. What do you think? That's an easy start. Hey, this is a thing that we've got going on. What do you guys think about it? How do you think we can make it better? Will you look at this and see what you think? Take it over, take something, project that you're working on, take it over to accounting, take it over to sales, take it over. Go pitch your idea to other people in the organization and get them to critique it and give you feedback. That is the start of cross-pollinating. That's the start of getting everybody on the same page.
Yeah, you don't have to go join the company. Like it worked for me.
Yeah.
Like it worked for me I needed that level of commitment to change some of the ingrained things that I had and to really work on some of the things that I needed to work on. But it started with a conversation that I had with you where like we were going to eat lunch. I was coming, you were writing on the whiteboard and I was literally just a fly on the wall, like of you talking about business and organization. And I'm like, man, like I don't even think like that. Like my brain doesn't even work like that. So you could find somebody in your area that is just a business that you like and just be like, hey, I want to just come chat with you once a month and I want to have lunch and like we're just literally going to talk business and ideas and it's just somewhere because I know there are a lot of companies that do not think and process this way. Like this is this at Loc-Doc is normal. And if it doesn't happen, it seems abnormal. But for most companies, this would seem abnormal, and not doing this seems normal.
Yeah.
And so I would say, if you can't do it internally, find something outside. And that's where, I was at with the solopreneurship is I needed someone else. And if you're a solopreneurship and you're doing it on your own, like just find somebody to run with you. I did say that I enjoy running by myself, but I also do ultras. And I don't think many people, like in November, I'm running 20 hours and 20 minutes. So, you're more than welcome to run with me.
You can do that by yourself. That's good.
So that, at some point in time, if you're going to be a solopreneurship, you do have to enjoy it. But I have much more enjoyed doing this business together than by myself.
Very cool. Aaron, it's been great to chat with you today. Appreciate your time. Now we'll let you go edit this and get it ready for publishing. Great. It's been cool to see the growth. It's been cool to see the development, be a part of it, and just kind of, I was communicating this to somebody the other day. The exciting part about the future of this organization, the future of kind of what's going on, is simply based off of the proof of what's happened in the past.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
The proof in the progress is what is exciting about the future.
Yeah.
That's it. And so we can continue to run together as an organization and continue to grow and just bring some amazing things to life that will not only impact our business, but impact other businesses and other customers and be able to make a big impact on the world. So, hey, thank you for joining us today. Again, thank you to Aaron for all this and the time that we've had together today. It's amazing to sit here in this really fun studio, this exciting studio that has been just evolving over the past year. And now we're actually recording a podcast about the progress of the organization because we've been running together over the past year and a couple of months. For you, if you're listening to this and you're watching this right now going, hey, how can I do this? It's as simple as asking. It's as simple as getting connected with other companies. I think that's great advice, and we would definitely encourage you to do that. If you would like to get in touch with us, be sure to leave a comment below, shoot us a direct message. You can find us on all the social media platforms, and you can find all of the episodes that we have available on our website. It's called locdoc.net/podcast. All the audio versions are there. All of the video versions are there. You can find them as well on YouTube and Facebook. Make sure you subscribe. We have a brand new episode every Tuesday morning at 9 a.m. We've been doing it for over 2 years, and we've got plenty more on the way. We look forward to sharing them all with you. Thank you very much for listening and watching today, and we'll see you next time on the Coffee Break Podcast.